So we're asked to write an expression for the perimeter, and perimeter of course means to add up all four sides together. So it's probably going to be a really good idea to label these two unmarked sides. So that would be 5n squared minus 1, and then this one of course would be n plus 9. And so when we add these together, that's just basically a fancy problem of combining like terms. So let's color code them. We have 5n squared, and then we come around here. These are not like terms. Over here, these are not like terms, but down here we do find another like term. Remember, like terms have to have the exact same variable and same exponent. So if we have 5n squares and we add 5 more n squares, then how many n squares are we going to get? Well, 5 plus 5 is 10. Remember, we don't ever change the exponent when we're adding or subtracting. The only thing that changes is the coefficient, how many of those variables we have. Okay? Now let's move on to the n terms. We have an n here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a 1 in front of it just to remind myself that it's there. And then I have a 1 over here, excuse me, an n over here, and I'm going to put a 1 in front of that. But the other terms are all constants, so they are not like terms. So if we have one n and we add another n, how many n's are we going to get? 1 plus 1 is 2. And finally, we have our constants. I'm going to go ahead and leave change opposite, so I remember the signs here. I have a -1, I have a +9, I have a -1, and I have a +9. So when you put all these together, 9 plus 9 is going to be 18. A -1 and a -1 make a -2. And so I'm going to let you fill out that last part for that constant in our expression. Actually, come to think of it, since I have to do part B, I'll go ahead and do that with you. 18, take away 2, of course, is 16. Okay, so that's your expression for A. Now we do need to evaluate the perimeter if n is equal to 1. There were two different ways to do this. One way would be the parenthetical promise. So I'm actually just going to come up here, since I've already gotten all this written down, and every time I see an n, I'm going to put a parentheses. So I see an n here, and I also see an n here. Everything else comes down. So I have a 10, and I have a little exponent of 2, and I have a plus and a 2, and I have a plus and a 16. And we can put now 1 in for n. And now we just follow the order of operations. So we do 1 to the second power. Well, that's 1 times 1, which is not 2, my friends. It's 1. And 10 times 1, that whole thing is going to give you 10. And 2 times 1 is 2. And then we have our plus, and we have our plus 16. And you can put all those together and get your final answer. The other way that I thought was very clever, that a lot of you guys did, was you just evaluated it for the sides. So if you put in 1 for n here, 1 times 1 is 1 plus 9. This side would be 10, which makes the opposite side 10. Then you come over here, let's say we have 5, and we put in our parentheses, and 1 squared is 1 times 5 is 5, and 5 plus -1 or 5 minus 1 is 4. So we wind up with 4 here and 4 here. And if you put all those orange numbers together, 10 and 4 and 10 and 4, you're going to get the same thing that you got the other way.